Hello, guys. Hello. How are you? Listen, I have a word today that I want to talk to you about that the Lord has given me. And so I want to speak to you today about this word that the Lord has given me. The word of the Lord is, this is our 400 years that we're sitting into a 400-year era. That we're not just into a decade, but we're in an era. And God has bring us to this place. And this place is called the year of our 400 years. It is the year of coming out. And you may say, what are you talking about? This year, we're standing, God has bring us to a place of coming out. It really is a place of coming out. And so I want to go into this in the scripture real quick. I want to go into the word. I want to give you what God gave me. So this is what he gave me. Genesis chapter 15. Let's start from verse 13. And God said to Abram, know positively that your descendant will be a stranger. Your descendant will be a stranger. Will be a stranger, dwelling as temporarily resident. I love that. Dwelling as temporarily resident in a land that is not theirs. They're going to go into a land that is not theirs. That land was Egypt. And they will be slave there and will be afflicted. Watch this. They will be afflicted and they will be oppressed. But there was a limit on it. God put a time limit on the affliction and the oppression. He said it would be for 400 years. But I will bring judgment. The 14th verse, and that nation whom they will serve. That nation that oppress them and afflict them, I will bring judgment upon that nation whom they will serve. And afterward, there is a afterward. There is a but, and there is an afterward. Afterward, they will come out with great possession. Afterward, they will come out with great possession. Great possession. They're going to come out with great possession. That is powerful. They're going to be afflicted. They are going to be oppressed, but it's only for 400 years. It's going to happen. And he said, and you shall go to your father in peace, Abraham. You shall bury at a good old age. And in the 4th generation, there your descendants shall come back here to Canaan again. For the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet fulfilled. The iniquity of the Amorite is not yet fulfilled. So in the fullness of time, again, he's saying that there's a time period on the oppression. There's a time period on the oppression. After the 400 years, the oppressor has to release. So let me walk you back a little bit and what he's giving me. So he said it's not going to happen until the time when the Amorites the iniquity of the Amorites first and foremost has to be first fulfilled before this will happen. So Joshua chapter 24 and 15 says, and if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourself this day whom you will serve, whether it's God which your father served on the other side of the river, or the God of the Amorite in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. He said, even Joshua ended up going into the land of the Amorites. So then I come out to Exodus. Let's look at Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, verse 13. Let me see. Exodus chapter 12. I'm just giving you scripture first, and then I will give you what he's giving me. 12, verse 13. And he says, the The blood shall be for a token and a sign. Let me go about, let me see what 35, let me go down a little. I'm trying to jump. You probably can read all of that, what he did to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. And he's talk about, he said, now the time of the Israel dwell in Egypt, their dwelling in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of the 430 years, even that very day, all the hosts of the Lord went out of Egypt. All of them went out of Egypt. It was a night of watch unto the Lord, and to be much observed for bringing them out of Egypt. The same night of watching unto the Lord is to be observed by all the Israelites throughout their generation. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. No foreigner shall eat of it, but every man's servant who is brought for money. When you have circumcised him, they may be eat of it, a foreigner or Irish servant. And it talks about, how the sojourner was coming out, and they were supposed to borrow the things, the silver and the gold and the raiment from the Egyptians, because they were not coming out empty-handed. That God was saying, no, you're not coming out empty-handed. If you go back in Genesis chapter 15 again and see what God says they were coming out with in about the 14th verse, he said, but brought those, like King James. Yeah, so we go back into Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15. Verse 13, let's see. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land, and that it is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they serve will I judge. That nation that oppress them, and afflict them, I'm going to judge them. And after shall they come out with a great substance. Great substance, that's it. Afterward, they're going to come out with a great substance. That means there's going to be a payday for that. Those things God does not forget. God does not forget the oppressed. God does not forget the oppressed. We have to know that, listen, we have seen the oppressor. We have seen the oppressor upon like never before, but the oppressor being here. The oppressor being here. This is for years. Do you guys know that slavery being around for 400 years? You have this place for 400 years. One nation, one people have been upon their oppression for a very long time. The oppression of the oppressor, the strong man and the stronghold has gripped upon this one nation for a very long time, which is the black nation. We have seen that for a very long time, that they have been under this oppression for a very long time. So I wanted to know, Lord, what is really this place that is really going on with us. And so the Lord began to take me into the place of the choking. The choking, like, no, the enemy has been choking this generation for a long time. We've seen the choking, we've seen oppression and the affliction upon this black generation, this black nation. I've been choked, I've been when I look upon George Floyd, and I said, Lord, I need to know, what does this mean? What does this mean? You see this young man being killed. We see the police officer choking, put his knee upon him, and the oppressor is pressing into him. And we hear him again asking for his mother. We hear him asking for his mother. The mother obviously was his supporter. The mother obviously was someone that he knows he could be safe with. We hear him asking for his mother. We know what the mother is, a nurturer. We hear him asking for a mother, but not just his mother, but we hear him asking for his breath. We hear him asking for his breath. You know, the afflictor and the oppressor, that one that oppress and afflict and oppress for many years. And so I ask question. I just like to ask God, what is this? What does this mean? Because for some people it may mean something else. You know, when God is the forecaster, he take you to deeper place. He just don't let us see the surface of things. He just don't. Sometimes we can get so caught up in the pain or in the noise of a thing where we don't get to see the deeper things of God, and knowing that God is that creator. God is the creator of the universe. God knows nothing is hidden from him. The Bible says his eyes He circle the earth. He knows nothing. He knows the heart and the very intent of man. So who is best to ask about what's going on but him, the creator of the universe? And so I'm like, Lord, what is this? And what does this mean to us? What does this mean to us that a young man in the street life being pressed out of him? And so the Lord says, George Floyd killing by the police officer, it's bring the world attention. It bring the world attention to that there is an oppressor. For so long, we just live and get along with it. We just go by with it. But the Lord, He wanted the also, because it's always a twofold. You know, even though God may try to do something, or even what the enemy try to do, the Lord can use it. Always be a message in it. Always never get so caught up where you got lost into the noise and you never ask God, where is the enemy in this? Or where are you in this? What do I need to hear in this? What do I need to do with this? Never get caught up, because then if you do, you will keep going back to the same thing and you'll come out empty. You won't come out with the substance that he promised, because he promised great substance. He said, after this, there's a after this, but after this, you're going to come out with great substance. So what this, you got to keep your eyes upon the great substance, that there is a great substance that's coming out of this. So let me go back a little bit. So he said, George Floyd killed the police officer he represent, because it's a representation. George Floyd represent us, the black people. It is a symbol. It's a symbol of the black nation and what the black nation has been up under the oppression of the Egyptians for a long time. And God said, I can't do anything until the fullness of the Amorite, until the wickedness of exceed itself. And when it comes to the exceeding of it, then the buck stop here. But you're not coming out without the great substance. So I want you to keep in mind that there is a great substance for you to come out with. And so I'm going to do a couple of these taping for you, and I'll come back so you can understand what that great substance that God is talking about, that there is a great substance that you're coming out with. But let's walk to this place of what is this this police officer representation of, because we can just see that one man, and we just get caught up in that and don't see the whole symbolic of that and what God is saying and what God is trying to bring us to bring us out all the way with what he promised us. You know what I mean? So we saw the world, it brings an attention, to the world, because now we have the camera on it. You know what I mean? It was like a movie, action, read all about it. You know what I mean? This is not how you get to do it in the woods, or you do it in the back, where we pick, cotton fields. No. There was now, God make sure that there is a camera on it. You know what I mean? So the world get to see the oppressor. The world get to see the oppressor. So watch this. The world attention. It caught the world attention to the racism and the police brutality and the injustice of the black people. It brings attention because you're working on jobs, you work on jobs, you work in different places, and you buy houses and live in different neighborhoods. So we see racism every day. It's just here. You see it in the job, you see it. And so what we have done, the black people just really tolerate it. We tolerate it, we live, we go by, and we, you just Live with it. That's really, just live with it. So, but the Lord is saying, no, you're coming out with great substance. So we see a young black man crying for his mother and his breath, but that officer continued to choke the life out of him. He was choking the life out of him. The word was, mama, and I can't breathe. Only for $20, he was choked to death. Only for $20, he was choked to death. All the things coming so fast, we can hardly keep up. We can hardly keep up. We see it coming. We see all the injustice that has been done with, life that have taken away, black life that has just been taken away. I've always taught my son, my son would drive my car, and my car was kind of an expensive car. My son was young, so I would let him, drive my car. And, I always teach him, I said, if you get pulled over by a police officer, do not fight them. Do not put, the first thing you want to do is to put your hand up and smile. Show them, don't even try to fight. Don't, yes, sir, listen, because I said no. And he has a lot of that people, they will pull him over because the car he's driving, he's a young guy and he's driving this car. So the thing that going on in their mind, got to be something he's doing illegal. No, he doesn't even know that kind of lifestyle. So we know he's here. We can't deny that the oppressor is here. And the oppressor being here for 400 years. If you go back and study the history of racism, you'll find out it being here for 400 years. But I'm coming to you. 400 years. What does it mean to us spiritually? Where is God's voice in this? What does this mean for us spiritually? And where is God in this? See, guys, everything you do, you have to ask God, where are you in this? You have to hear God, hear him in this. God does speak in the midst of crisis. God does speak in the midst of injustice. God does speak. You got to hear what he has to say. What does the meaning of it spiritually? So he said to me, he said, the police officer, this is what he told me, was a representation of the system. It was not just a man. It was a system God was showing us. The system that have been choking the life of the black nation for a very long time. And the choking of the system was to constrict them, was to constrict, let me say us, was to constrict us and to limit us from the life that God intended for us. That was the plan. It was to restrict us, make sure we doesn't get education, make sure we don't get no health, no insurance, no health, insurance so we can live. It was always to choke the life up out of us. Just like George Floyd. It was always, it's not just George Floyd. I understand that he is him that died, but it's a symbol. And I want to take you guys to the symbol, and I'm going to do, a couple more taping, but I want to take you guys back to the symbols. You cannot miss God's voice in something like that. You cannot miss God. He used symbol also to speak to us. God speaks to us from different ways. He used nature to speak to us. Whatever is there available, God used it to speak to us. Because sometimes man is so busy and so occupied that we don't have time to sit and hear what God has to say. So what God will do, God will use what's available to get the message to his people. He don't care what is there, he will use it. So I believe that George Floyd was there at the time, and so God is using it. And he said, I want you to see this, the representation of George Floyd and the representation of the police officer. The police officer was a system. It was dealing with a system that have been around for 400 years. It's a system that sits up in spiritual wickedness. I'm coming there, but I don't want to jump ahead. So what it does, it comes to constrict us. It comes to limit us from the life that God intended for us. The black people have been choked for a long time. A long time. They've been crying out for breath for a long time. They've been crying out for their mother for a long time. The mother is that nurturer The mother is what nurture us. The mother is what give life, where you get life from. So they be crying out for their life for a very long time. The black has been crying out. We have been crying out for, I have to put myself in there, for a very long time. And so I want you to see that all of that is in the Bible. That the Lord said, yes, they were going to go in, but they're going to come out, and they're going to come out with great substance. So squeezing, so watch this. The squeezing of the system. Let's move from the white police officer to the system. Now, who George Floyd represent, you know what I mean, that he represent a nation. He represent the black nation. Let me say that again. George Floyd represent the black nation. The police officer is a symbol of a system, demonic system, and I'm coming to you in a minute, that come to squeeze. Let me go back to some of the things that we have saw that system squeeze. The system squeeze the life out of the use the prison system to squeeze our black men, put them in prison. That's a system. Prison is called prison system. There's a system put in place for our young black men to put them in prison and to squeeze out the life out of them. Some of them serve time that they didn't even fit their crime. Some of them served time that did not even fit their crime. I can tell you some of the people that I know that get 36 years in prison don't never had a felony. How you get 36 years in prison without a felony? I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. I walk in the courtroom. I've been in the courtroom from the beginning of the trial to the end of the trial. And when I sit there, and I've learned that system, that, man, you could do that. You could put someone away for 36 years without never having a felony. They never kill anybody. They didn't murder anybody. 36 years, not for a murder, guys. Hear me. A black man. I watched them throw up that book at that black man. I watched all of the jury was white sitting on there. The lawyer was white and the judge was white, and all they see is a black man standing before them. That was a life. That was squeezing, again, that system being here, squeezing out that life. That black man had 5 children. He left those 5 children for 36 years put in prison for not a murder, guys. Not a murder. Hear me? So it's been squeezing. So it is a system. Some of them being in prison for a crime they did not even commit it. And then leave them in prison to die as they take them away from their children, leaving the children without a father. That's what you call squeezing. So no, it's been here. That system been here. So with all of the how the Lord allow, you know, the someone to stand there to begin to film the whole thing so that the world could see, no, this is a system, and this system has been there, and now this year is the 400 years being in slavery. So everything you see going on, the June thing that going on with, you know, Arkansas and racism, you know, being free. You know, this year we see it's not just one place that they're celebrating, the whole country. Now it's coming into attention to that no, we are coming out. The black nation are being squeezed for a very long time. But we are in the 400 years, and the 400 years is now, and the Lord is bringing out this nation. And so we see the school system. Let's talk about that. The school system set up to fail our children, making sure they don't get the funds they need to give good teachers and programs for our children learning. The parents cannot even afford daycare for their children. Come on. You know what I mean? The system is so put to squeeze. If you go to work, you can't get no assistant. If you're working, you can't get no assistant. You can't get food stamp if you make, you know, certain amount of money. You know what I mean? And if you don't have these amount of children, you can't get this. And so the system set up It literally set up for failure for that nation. So for the black nation. So no, I just want you to know, it's been here. It's been squeezing for a very long time. It's been on the neck of the black nation. The system has been, hear me again, I'm saying that white officer represent a system. It's a demonic system that has put in place to squeeze out the life out of the black nation. It's to be oppressed. It is to affect the black nation. It's been there, and so I believe that we need to know the truth about that. So the system is here, and so parents has been crying. Single mothers have been crying, like George Floyd saying, I can't breathe. They've been crying. Young black men in prison have been crying out, I can't breathe. You know what I mean? I can't breathe. It's been there. I cannot breathe. They've been saying that. I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. I don't have enough money to take care of my kids. I can't buy them health. I can't feed them healthy food. So they come up with, anemia, a low blood count, and all kind of sicknesses. And so, yeah, when the corona come out, who died from it, of course, is the black people. Why? Because they don't have the money to go and get, gated community. They don't have the money to gate their family in and get, private people, pay for people to come and cook their meal. They don't got to go outside. They got saunas, they got, hot tub and whatever. I'm not saying, you can't live your life where you live your life, but I think, God wanted to always to be equal. He never wants one to be above the other. So, so we see the squeezing. So we're talking about, where the system of squeeze. So we also see the health, the health system where the black cannot afford health care for their family. So they die with the breath squeezed out of them. They die with the breath squeezing out of them. They die with high blood pressure. They die with sugar diabetes. You know what I mean? They don't have money to go get shots. They die with asthma, from as simple as asthma. You know what I mean? Some people die with, heart problem because they didn't have the money to go to the doctor. You know what I mean? I know people right now, they haven't been to the doctor. Why? Because they don't have the money to pay for health care. You see what I'm saying? So we see the black living in the black neighborhood, run down neighborhood with poverty, where there's nothing for the black children to do with their time. So they join the gang to get thrown into prison. So we see that system again. It sets up for the failure of this black nation. So we see the squeezing. But I want you to know, hope thou in the Lord. Let me say this. It's the 400 year is here. This 400 years has nothing to do, with anyone. It has to do with the Lord. That's saying it is the 400 years. And now God is ready to bring out a people. God is ready, my God, to bring out a people. And what is he bringing us up from under? He bringing us up from under a dark system, the system of the kingdom of darkness that has set up long time ago. It has set up so it can squeeze out the breath and it can squeeze out the life. But I want you to know that God has come. God has come to deal with spiritual wickedness that has been in high places. I want you to know God has come, my God, to deal with those spiritual wickedness that is in high places. Spiritual wickedness that sits in high places. Speak of the type of spirit found in high and lofty places that are reasonable for anything that is perverted, deprived, debased, wrapped, or corrupt. This spirit is spoken of as working from high, lofty, and heavenly places that speak of not only celestial zone, but dimension, but also the mind, which is a type of heavenly places. So it come to mess with your mind. It come to influence and seduce, falsely inspire action, perception, motivation, fantasy, imagination, and appetite through the overall to convert, attack, and influence of the mind, affecting the mind. It seeks to affect the mind. So that is the spiritual wickedness that is in high places. So what you see is spiritual wickedness that sits in high places that God come to take it down. The Egypt was spiritual wickedness that was in high places. We understand that Pharaoh was spiritual. It was spiritual wickedness. It was a system. Pharaoh, and what Pharaoh was doing, it was not, Pharaoh was a title. That was the name. Pharaoh was a title. So it was a system that set up to oppress the people of God. And I want you to know that the system that set up, it was to oppress a nation. And so now the Lord comes. These are the days of the Lord. I want you to know that these are the days of the Lord. What does God come to do? God come to flip the script. Can I tell you that God come to flip the script? When he come to flip the script, he come to flip the script. My God, to make sure there is all things are common amongst us. All things are common amongst us. There is not one that is above one. There is not one that is superior above the other because of the color of your skin, because we are all made by God, and we are not going to just say one life matter. No, God wants all life to matter. You know what I mean? But one nation has, the truth is, as being oppressed, and one nation as being inferior to another nation. And so the Father did not want that. So he said, I come to bring substance, to give great substance back to you. And I believe that we're in the time, and I believe that we are in the season and the hour where God is coming to bring back and give you back, redeem back to you the years the cankerworm and the palmer worm and the caterpillar have eaten up from you. I believe that even in this hour that there's a restoring, that God is coming to restore back to you. I believe that there is a restoration to a generation. Can I just say that there is a restoration to a generation? That God is coming to restore back to you. Some of you were meant to go on further to your education, but you didn't have the money to do it. Some of you just living, trying to pay back student loan when you can't find a job to match what you went to school for, because nobody wants to really hire you for that because, of the color of your skin. But I want you to know you're in the time, and it's a set time of God. This is a set time of your favor. This is a set time of God. And I want you to know it's a setup. It's a setup from God. And God has set you up for favor. God has set you up for opportunity. And I'm telling you, even in this hour, you're coming out, but you're not coming out empty-handed. I want you to know your children is not coming out empty-handed. For every place that the oppressor have oppressed you, God is getting ready to flip some things over. And I'm telling you, the things that was on the bottom, God getting ready to, my God, to bottom up. He get ready to bottom down. He going to bring that thing down to you. Like, can I say to you, I sit there today and I heard the Lord said, I'm bringing it down where they are able to reach it. And some of you're not able to pay your bills. Some of you are not able to have a good place, a healthy place for your children. But I hear the Lord say, I'm bottom it down. And every place that your grandfather, your great grandfather, there's sweat that have gone. There's sweat. They have slaved, and they put oppression on them, and they have depressed them. My God, but God says, I'm breaking. This is the hour that I'm breaking the hands of the oppressor. I'm moving the hand of the oppressor. God's hands is moving the hand of the oppressor. He's moving the hand of the oppressor from your neck. He's moving the hand of the oppressor from your neck. He's moving the hand of the oppressor from your neck. Can I say, the hand of the oppressor get ready to be moved from your neck? God is moving it with his own hand. The affliction of the oppressor. And when he come to squeeze you, that you have no breath, that you cry, I can't breathe. But I come to prophesy to you that God is getting ready to give you a prophetic breath. God is getting ready to give you, my God, the breath, his own breath. He get ready to give you the Rohak. He get ready to put his lungs, breathe into your lungs, and put his breath in you. And you get ready to breathe. You get ready to breathe with your family. You get ready to breathe in your marriage. You get ready to breathe in your business. God is going to bottom down to you. Some things that you couldn't able to receive. You couldn't able to get the loan that you wanted. You weren't qualified. But God is getting ready to say, no, that way you've been rejected, what you've been rejected for, the house that you wanted for your children, the school you wanted your children to go to, things that you wanted to do, but you didn't have the means to do it. But I hear the Lord say, I'm coming to bottom down to you. I'm coming to bottom some of you. I'm telling you, you're coming out with great possession. God said, great possession, great possession. And you're coming out with it like the children of Israel. You're coming out with the spoils of the enemy, because what God says, you are being oppressed long enough. You're being squeezed long enough. You're being breathless long enough. You're being breathless. You've been asking for breath for a long time. But God said, I've heard your cry. I've heard the cry of my people. And I come to see about you. I want you to know, no, God did not despise you. I want you to know, no, God did not forget about you. No, but there was a 400 years. There was a time limit on it. There was a time limit that the enemy did not know, that God has a time limit on it. And I want you to know right this day, today, June 19, I want you to know it is a history. It's a mark. Hear me. It's a mark of the time you're coming out. And the Lord says, as you come out, you're coming out into your jubilee. I want you to know that 2000, as the year 2020 passed by, and as you come over, as you cross over, you're getting ready to cross over into a place of jubilee. You're getting ready to come out with some things, my God, that you never know, never believe that you could walk into that. You never believed that could be, my God, own your possession. But I want you to know that God is getting ready to sit you into a permanency. He get ready to give you permanency. Hear me. I know some of you have been saying, Lord, have you forgotten us? Lord, has you forsaken us? The Lord said, no, I have not forsaken you. Neither have I forgotten you. Can a mother forget her children? How can a mother forget those her suckling children? No, I have not forgotten you. I have remembered. I heard your cry, and I come to see about you. I heard just as George Floyd cried. I heard him, but it was one man's life, my God, caused a world's attention. One man's life caused the world, my God, a system to be broken, a system to cause a reformation, my God, to take down an old ancient system that have hold on to the neck of one nation, limit and constrict. And I even hear the Lord said, the spirit of the python, oh my God, I'll choke you out for so long. But I come to cut off the head of the python, and I come to give you breath. I come to give you breath. And oh, this breath is going to cause you to rise. And this breath is going to cause you to possess. And this breath is going to cause you to know my love. And this breath going to cause you to know my truth. And this breath going to cause you to come closer to me. It's not going to distance you from me. No, it's going to cause you to come closer and know that I am your God. And I've always been there for you. I've always been there. I saw the injustice. I saw the things that they did not, my God, want me to see. Did not know that anyone to see, but I saw it, said the Lord. And I come to bring justice. And I come to bring justice. And I come to give a nation a breath. Not one man a breath, but I come to give a nation a breath. I come, my God, to give breath into your lungs, that you will breathe, and no longer you will be stifled from a system. No longer that system that try to stifle you and try to cut you off. And the Lord said, no longer will your breath be cut off, but now you will breathe. I'm giving you breath. I'm giving you breath. I'm giving you breath, and you will breathe, and it will be, my God, a fresh breath. My God, you will breathe, and you will receive, my God, the freshness of God and the presence of God. You will receive His love. You will receive His joy, and you will know that the Lord has always loved you, and He has always been there, just like He was for the children of Israel. And so He's there for the black nation. Yes, He's there. Yes, He's always there. And God, no, He is the God that made you. Yes, you have darker skin. Yes, you're black. He made you just like He wants you. He made you from a darker dirt. Yes, He did. And He puts His life. He says in the book of Genesis chapter 2:7, He said, I made you from the dust, and then I breathe into your nostril and make you to be a living soul. You are a living soul, and everything that comes to take the life up out of your soul, I prophesy to you the breath of God over you, the breath of God over your family, the breath of God over our young men in prison, the breath of God over those that are struggling with the virus, the breath of God over your marriage, the breath of God over your business, those that have small business, the breath of God over you, and you will come up and you will rise. And I even hear the Lord says, those things that have been on top, I hear the Lord say, I'm bringing it down. I am bringing it down. I hear the Lord say, many of those businesses and many of those big companies. I am taking it down. And the Lord said, I'm raising up some things from the bottom. I'm raising up some people from the bottom. I am bottoming. I'm going to bring it down. Yes, I'm bottoming, bottom up. I'm bottom down. I'm bringing it. Bottom down. I'm bringing it down to the bottom, and where you can reach it, where you can touch it, and where your hands can be upon it, said the Lord. Yes, you right there. God said, I'm bringing it to you, and it's going to be reachable for you, and you're going to be able to take it, and you're going to be able to know it's not going to be a sweat out of you. It will be a sweatless victory, because I have heard your cry, and I've seen the oppression of my people. I've seen the oppression of my people. I've seen the oppression of my people, and God said, yes, I've come to bring you out, said the Lord, so I can bring you in. I come to bring you out of that place, to bring you into the promise. I promise you, the 400 years now is your 400 years, is your time for you to rise and take all of the things of God, said the Lord. Yes, and I want you to know, yes, that there is glory after this. The greater things are coming to you. The greater things are yet to come, and the greater things have yet to begin. And I'm talking to you. God says this is your year. In 400 years, these are the days of the Lord. These are the days of the Lord, and God has something great for your life and for your family and for the nation that has been under oppression and bondage for a very long time. God has something great for you. God bless you. See me again. Subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. God bless you. Bye.